probability of getting a system in energy ER is equal to e raised to minus beta ER divided by Z, where Z is equal to summation over all possible microstate e raised to minus beta here. Okay, summation over all possible microstate. Can you remember what did I said yesterday? Summation over all possible energy, isn't it? All possible microstates. Okay, summation over all possible microstates. Because the label R was for microstate, am I right? The label R was for microstate. Yeah. So either our system may be one particle or system may be n particle. Is that okay? Either this is true. Is that okay? This probability distribution is true. If you are talking about one atom which is in thermal equilibrium with a temperature, better to use small ER. Okay. Better to use small e for one atom. Okay. So that's again equal to e raised to minus beta ER whole divided by summation over R e raised to minus beta ER. Okay. So yeah, the argument was this one, isn't it? So since we can divide our system into many parts, isn't it? What was the argument? So actually we have taken A is in thermal contact with heat reservoir, am I right? A prime, and so we had Z, isn't it, using that one. So Z of A, let me take Z of A. Now if I divide A into two parts, AR and AS, and partition function of whole system, the partition function of whole system is equal to partition function of R, AR into partition function of AS, am I right? And since this happens, since log of this one will be additive, am I right? Log of Z of AR plus log of Z of AS. So since log of this one is additive, entropy is additive, average energy is additive, because entropy and average energy related to log of this one, am I right? So again I can write average energy of A is equal to average energy of AR plus average energy of AS, am I right? So once you prove, I think I have proved up to this one yesterday, isn't it? I have proved this one. So partition function is multiplicative, okay? That was the sentence we have taken. Then again log of the partition function is additive. So and average energy related to log of, so derivative of the log, that is why average energy is additive. Similarly entropy is additive. That is what we have shown. Now idea is this one. Now I have a, suppose a metal slab. I have a metal slab. So so place it on a table. Okay. So place it on a table which is in thermal equilibrium with a room temperature. Is that okay? Which is in thermal equilibrium with room temperature. The slab contains n number of atoms. Okay. So suppose metal slab, it contains n so metal atom. Okay. So now it is in thermal contact with whole room. Is that okay? Whole room will act like a thermal, I mean heat reservoir. Is that okay? Now so you got two choice. One is you can take total n particle system and you can define this one. Is that okay? You can define this one. I mean probability of getting with the energy ER, that is equal to e raised to minus beta ER divided by summation over R, so divided by Z total. So this capital E let me use for total energy of the whole n particle system. Is that okay? So now while doing this Z total, let me get you example. Okay, this is a just argument. Let me get you particular example and let us show that one. So this Z total is equal to summation over all possible microstate. Is that okay? I mean suppose you have to model that one. Suppose harmonic oscillator model, whatever the model, isn't it? So if you are trying to explain, so each atom, so what is the energy of each atom? You have to look into that one, isn't it? And how those energies are distributed. Am I right? So now, so how many particles are in ground state? How many particles are in first exit state. It all matters, isn't it? For one particular microstate, it all matters. Okay. Again, in the next chapter, we will come to this point again. So, summation over R e raised to minus beta into ER, summation over all possible microstate, isn't it? So, I mean, so that's for one particle system, am I right? That's for one particle system, and I think we have shown, isn't it? This total energy, we can divide that one into individual energy, isn't it? Total energy of n particle system, we can write that one as energy of first particle, energy of second particle, and so on. And we have shown this total partition function, we can write Z1 power n, am I right? So, a single particle partition function, we call this one as single particle partition function. So, that is equal to summation over summation over, let me write R only, but let us use e raised to minus beta ER, small er, where this small e is corresponds to energy level of individual atom. Is that okay? So, just like this one, I have partition function is multiplicative, isn't it? Look at here, or let me start with this one. Yeah, this is for total system, is that okay? So, this is for total system. Now, what I do, I am going to divide this n particle system into n single particle system, and what I am going to assume here is, so I am going to, just like here, I have divided this one into 2 parts, but I am going to divide this one into n part. Is that okay? So, when I divide that one into n part, my individual parts are identical, isn't it? Individual atoms are identical. Are you getting my point? Their energy levels are identical, isn't it? So, all of those atoms are in thermal equilibrium with temperature T only, isn't it? As a whole slab is thermal equilibrium with temperature T. So, in that case, I can divide this one into n part, isn't it? So, I can write the partition function for one atom, is that okay? Just like I have written partition function for AR and partition function for AS, isn't it? I can write partition function for one atom, let me call this one as Z1, okay? So, single particle partition function. Single particle partition function. So, summation over R e raised to minus beta ER, single particle energy. What did we call this one? Yeah, single particle energy level, isn't it? Single particle energy level. Suppose if you model that one by harmonic oscillator, that is what we do in case of Feinstein theory of specific heat, okay. So, then again, so these energy levels are n plus half h bar omega, is that okay? Yeah. So, this is single particle partition function, and yeah, so I mean you have divided that one into n part, you got what you call partition function for one part, and what is the total partition function of whole system? Yeah. So, Z1 into Z2 and so on of 2 n times, but all of those atoms are identical, all of those atoms have identical energy levels. So, that is why, so this single particle partition function is same for all atom, all n atom. So, that is why this becomes Z1 whole power n. That is what the meaning, partition function is multiplicative. Is that okay? Once partition function is multiplicative, look at here, is Z total equal to Z1 power n. Is that okay? Log of Z is multiplied by n, isn't it? Log of Z total is equal to n into log of Z1. So, now average energy is n of average energy of one particle. Entropy is n of entropy of one particle, isn't it? You can do the problem for single particle and you can just multiply your average energy by n. Is that okay? Any question? That is what this property taught us. But the same thing cannot be applied in case of quantum statistics. Let me get you the reason later. Okay? Yeah. Any question here?
Dividing system means just considering the two different systems
Within system.
Introducing any constraint.
No constraint. Is that okay? So, I mean, I had A is in thermal equilibrium with A dash earlier. Now, I am thinking slab which is in thermal equilibrium with room temperature. Is that okay? Now, I am going to assume individual atoms are in thermal equilibrium with room temperature. So, and I am going to evaluate this one. Is that okay? So, when you do like that, look at here, when you do in this case, when you do individual atom in thermal equilibrium with heat reservoir T, you can define probability of getting individual atom in state R is equal to again e raised to minus beta ER divided by Z1, where Z1 is equal to again normalization constant. Is that okay? Summation over R e raised to minus beta ER. So, better to use small e for this one, because this capital E for energy of total system. So, this is for energy of single particle energy level. Is that okay? If we treat so single particle so in thermal equilibrium with temperature T, what is this one? What is this one? Probability of getting single particle in energy level ER. Is that okay? In energy level ER, and you can find average energy, or you can start with this one. You can find single particle partition function, you can find total partition function, you can proceed, or do average energy here, multiply average energy by n. Average energy for one particle, find the average energy for one particle, multiply it by n, or entropy for one particle, multiply it by n, or specific heat for one particle, multiply it by n. Is that okay? We call this one as classical statistics. Okay, are you getting my point? Classical doesn't mean energy levels are classical. Okay, are you getting my point? So look at here. So one small what you call point here. The point is, we call this way of what you call, I have divided n particle system into n single particle system and I have solved, isn't it? We call this kind of statistics as classical statistics. Is that okay? I mean, in quantum statistics, you are not allowed to divide that one into n part, because that is a collective behavior. Is that okay? In quantum statistics, it will behave collectively. We shall see that one. This kind of thing is not allowed over there. Suppose if you take Fermi-Dirac or Bose-Einstein or photon statistics, this kind of thing are not allowed. Okay? So, classical doesn't mean energy levels are classical. Okay? Energy level you have to model either classically or quantum mechanically. That is your choice. Okay? Let us come to that point when we take a classical energy level, when we take quantum mechanical energy level. Okay? So, it all depends on temperature. We left with one problem in Griffith's first chapter, very last problem, isn't it? When we have to apply quantum mechanics, do you remember? So, I told I am going to take that problem in statistical physics. We shall solve that one, then move on, okay? Because that will help us when we have to apply quantum mechanics and when we have to apply classical physics. Okay? Statistics is classical, statistics is quantum mechanical. That's a different. Okay? Energy level can be modeled in any manner. Okay? That's the different story. Yeah. Is that over? Now let us go to one problem. Yeah, one of the very famous question, paramagnetism. A lot of repeated questions on this one. So, paramagnetism. Yeah. So, in this one you better to define magnetization. Okay? Magnetization M is defined as a total magnetic moment per unit volume. Per unit volume. Is that okay? So, total total magnetic moment, total net magnetic moment, am I right? Total net magnetic moment, that is the best word, okay? Total net magnetic moment per unit volume. Is that okay? That is magnetization. Again, so let us define this one in electrodynamics again, okay? For a time sake, remember. Now look at here, the situation is this one. I have N naught spin half atom per unit volume. I mean, I have a slab, suppose some magnetic material, is that okay, which contains N naught magnetic atoms per unit volume. Remember, he said per unit volume, so that ultimately whatever you get, you will get magnetization, okay. So usually we work with N atoms, isn't it? Usually we work with N atom. Let me assume I have 1 unit volume of slab, is that okay? So that contains N naught atoms. Are you getting my point? So I mean, for the sake of simplicity, let me assume I have 1 unit volume of the slab, which contains N naught atom. Yeah. Which is placed in external magnetic field, N naught magnetic atoms per unit volume. So substance with N naught magnetic atoms per unit volume placed in so external magnetic field H. Each atom is spin half and intrinsic magnetic moment mu. Each atom is spin half and has intrinsic, spin itself is intrinsic property, okay? Intrinsic magnetic moment mu. He defined magnetic moment. Is that okay? Intrinsic magnetic moment mu. So he defined everything, okay? Whole quantum mechanics. So quantum mechanically, so look at here. So the sentence. So in quantum mechanical description, the magnetic moment of each atom can either point either parallel or anti-parallel to the field. Is that okay? Can point either parallel or anti-parallel to the field. Let me not go to that spin matrix, okay? Let me write my, how to write? So let me write my Hamiltonian. I should not use H again. So what would I do? Let me write energy E. Is that okay? Minus mu dot H, because H is used for magnetic field here. Is that okay? Yeah, because we have beta, isn't it? We have beta, not to get confused with beta, we will not use B for magnetic field. Is that okay? Now, according to quantum mechanics, again I am not again writing this one in terms of spin, okay? Spin matrix, okay? I am avoiding that step. What I am taking from quantum mechanics, this can either align along this one or this can either align opposite to this one, isn't it? Let me keep this one as it is. Let me keep mu as it is, because he has given intrinsic magnetic moment mu. You have to write last answer in terms of mu. Is that okay? So I usually that would be Bohr magneton if each atom have got spin half, isn't it? If this is due to one unpaired electron in s orbit, suppose, then this would be Bohr magneton. Is that okay? This would be Bohr magneton for electron. Is that okay? So that's why we will not go to the situation. I mean, we shall not go to pure quantum mechanics. So writing this one in terms of spin matrix and writing its eigenvalue. Okay, we will not go to that one. We will take one analogy. This can align along the direction or this can align opposite to it. I told. So spin is very strange property, and electron magnetic moment has very strange property. What is that property? It can align either parallel to the external magnetic field or opposite to this. I mean, either parallel or anti-parallel to the external magnetic field, So, not with any angle, is that okay? So, now if it aligns parallel, look at here, what is the energy you get? If it aligns parallel, shall I write that one as, remember I am talking about single atom, am I right? But I have total n naught atom, now here I am talking about single atom. Let me write E plus when it aligns parallel to the field minus mu into H, when it aligns parallel to the field. So, when it aligns opposite to the field, let me write E minus, is that okay? E minus for, so when it aligns opposite to the field. So, when it aligns opposite to the field, one more negative sign will come here in the dot product. So, plus mu into H, shall I write? Only 2 energy level, okay? Even after applying quantum mechanics, we get the same thing, okay? Where mu becomes Bohr magneton. So, what we have done, do you remember, mu is equal to gyrometric ratio into S here, and we have taken so Z component of this one, am I right? By taking a magnetic field along Z axis, then its eigenvalues are plus or minus h bar by 2, gyromagnetic ratio into plus or minus h bar by 2, we defined that one as Bohr magneton actually. Is that okay? Gyrometric ratio, I mean we will not take this plus or minus sign outside. So, this whole thing we define that one as Bohr magneton usually for electron, and that one he mentioned mu, he mentioned this quantity as mu, only thing you have to take care is plus or minus. So, that is what it will come automatically if you assume it is either aligns parallel or anti-parallel, okay. Yeah, again anyway we are going to so talk about this one again. Now, look at here. Now, what I do here is, I play the same technique here. I play the same technique here. Wait a second. He has done little different manner. Shall I move on in a different way? Is that okay? Yeah, he has done mean magnetic moment per atom for one atom. Then he moved on. Look at here. The assumption here is you can assume. So, this energy level is due to. So, look at here. Let me write mu plus here is equal to mu. Let me define mu minus, that is equal to minus mu. Is that okay? I mean magnetic moment for this one, that is let me define it as plus mu, magnetic moment for this situation minus mu. So, that you can just define mu into H as I mean minus mu into H as your what you call energy. Is that okay? Yeah, I better write a small e only, because I am talking about one spin half atom in this description, okay. I mean you can find average energy, from that average energy you can derive magnetization, okay, but I need some formula for that one, how average energy is related to magnetization, okay. So, now look at here, I got two choice here, okay, I got two choice. I need what I need magnetic moment per unit volume, is that okay. So, this is the energy level with magnetic moment plus mu, this is the energy level with magnetic moment minus mu, let me take like that, okay. Then I can calculate average magnetic moment, because you have energy level will decide probability, isn't it, and you know individual property, and you can find average magnetic moment per atom. Let me do in that way, okay. Let us do this problem in a different way. Look at here. First thing I have to define probability of getting E plus. What is this one? Proportional to for one atom. So, now you can treat, I have n naught magnetic atom per unit volume. You can treat, which is in thermal equilibrium with temperature T in external magnetic field. Now, I can assume each spin half atom which is in thermal equilibrium at temperature T, and I can define my Boltzmann law for each atom, isn't it? I am defining for one atom. So, now probability of getting E plus, that is again proportional to e raised to minus beta E plus, or let me write the direct formula, is that okay? The direct formula is that's equal to e raised to minus beta E plus divided by Z1. What is this Z1? Partition function for one spin of atom. So, partition function for one spin of atom, summation over r e raised to minus beta E r. So, now what are this r runs from? R will run over these two, isn't it? Because single particle have got only two possible energy level. Is that okay? So, e raised to minus beta E plus e raised to minus beta E minus. Is that okay? Yeah. What is this one? E raised to minus beta E plus, that is e raised to beta mu h plus e raised to minus beta mu h. This is positive. E minus is positive, E plus is negative, 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 positive. Am I right? Now, probability of getting E plus energy for single particle which is in thermal equilibrium at temperature T, e raised to beta mu h divided by e raised to beta mu h plus e raised to minus beta mu h. Is that okay? So, probability of getting E minus, that is equal to e raised to minus beta mu h, am I right, divided by e raised to, denominator is same, am I right, z value. So, e raised to beta mu h plus e raised to minus beta mu h. Look at here, wait a second, look at here. It is very simple. Now, look at here, you can call this one as this is probability of spin up, you can call this one as probability of spin down, am I right? Spin up means when magnetic moment align along the direction of magnetic field, there is no more negative sign according to this formula. So, spin down means when it is aligned opposite to the direction of magnetic field and one more negative sign due to that opposite alignment. Is that okay? So, now look at here, this probability of spin up, probability of spin down, it is not half and half, isn't it? Are they? No, it depends on energy, so it depends on magnetic field, it depends on temperature now. Is that okay? It is not just like tossing coin, remember. I mean, it is not, you can't apply that one, you can't apply that, it is not half and half, isn't it? If it were half and half, net magnetic moment would be 0, isn't it? Are you getting my point? Net magnetic, half of them will be aligned parallel, half of them will be aligned anti-parallel, so that net magnetic moment is 0. So, now it is decided by the temperature and it is decided by energy level like this. Is that okay? Now, look at here, when that becomes half and half? No, I mean, so I said it depends on the temperature, I said it depends on the temperature and magnetic field, when it will become half and half? Beta equal to 1 by kBt. When it will become half and half? Very high temperature, beta is almost 0, or very low, actually the ratio does matter, okay. Actually this ratio does matter. What is this beta mu h? Beta mu h is nothing but mu h by kb into T, am I right? Mu h by kb into T. Now, this ratio does matter. If this ratio is too small, when that will happen? Small magnetic field, very large temperature. Is that okay? When you have very small magnetic field, very large temperature, so this becomes e power 0, e power 0, e power 0, e power 0, 1 by 1 plus 1, 1 by 1 plus 1, that becomes half and half. That is what happens at very high temperature, very low magnetic field, you will not observe any magnetization. Is that okay? Now, at that point you get your maximum entropy, you can find your, we had a problem of finding maximum entropy, am I right? So, that is our maximum entropy, I think n log 2 like that will come, isn't it? Yeah. So, we need this, you have to be very good at these approximations, okay. If you see those approximations without writing couple of steps, that is very good, so that we can save lot of time. Is that okay? Suppose sin theta nearly equal to theta when theta is small, like that. So, you should have that kind of approximation quickly in your mind. Now you can call this one as probability of occupation also. Probability of occupation of E plus energy, probability of occupation of E minus energy. Now you can call this one as P, you can call this one as Q. Are you getting my point? If you are applying your binomial theorem, now P and Q are decided by this one. Is that okay? So if you want to find average number of particles which are spin up, suppose, isn't it? So just like we found average number of step to this which are taken to the right, isn't it? So what we have done, we multiplied that probability with total number. Am I right? How we have done? N1 mean is equal to N into P. Am I right? Similarly, if you want to find average number of spin up particles, so multiply this one with total number of particles. That's it. Average number of spin down, multiply this one with total number of particles. You found probability now. Is that okay? Yeah. Let us get. Our aim is not to find average number of spin up or spin down. Our aim, I mean, you can use that one. Ultimately, in that one, the difference does matter. Am I right? The difference does matter. I need actually average M here to find magnetization, isn't it? Difference will talk about magnetization, isn't it? I mean, number of spin up, number of spin down. If there is imbalance, there will be net magnetic moment. Okay, you can use that one also. You can use that one also, but we have some other technique here to find magnetization. Okay, let us not go to binomial distribution, but since we talked about this example in binomial distribution, I am just quoting that one. Is that okay? Yeah. So now, what the next point is, I need mean magnetic moment per atom. So I call this one as mean magnetic moment of one atom. Mean magnetic moment of one atom, so that later I can multiply this one with N naught, isn't it? So that I will get magnetization directly. Mean magnetic moment of one atom, because that atom can be either in spin up or spin down, isn't it? So now that is equal to, how do you find any average value? I told Y average is equal to summation over YR into PR, isn't it? So now similarly you have to write mu R into, so probability of getting R. Shall I write like this? Now that becomes mu plus into probability of E plus plus mu minus probability of E minus. Shall I write like this? Where mu plus is equal to mu, mu minus is equal to minus mu. When it aligns along the direction of external field, we are going to take that magnitude as positive. When it aligns opposite to the magnetic field, we take that magnitude as negative. Is that okay? Magnetic moment as negative. Are you getting my point? So this will try to decrease net magnetization, this will try to improve that one. If I take positive magnetization means I am talking about paramagnetism, isn't it? I am talking about paramagnetism, not about diamagnetism. So that is why I am taking this one positive, this one as negative. That is the correct notation. Okay. Now I can use this one, isn't it? Just like this kind of property. So statistical average, isn't it? So if you want to find average energy, look at here. You can write again summation over ER. So P of R. You can write E plus probability of E plus. So plus E minus probability of E minus. Okay. That's it. Average energy. Are you getting my point? But here I am directly trying to find average magnetic moment. Average magnetic moment, so that I can multiply it by N, I can find net magnetization directly. Okay. Yeah. Now look at here. What is this one? Mu plus equal to mu into. So P of E plus is, yeah, speak out, e raised to beta mu h divided by e raised to beta mu h plus e raised to minus beta mu h. Yeah. Mu minus is minus mu e raised to minus beta mu h divided by e raised to beta mu h plus e raised to minus beta mu h. Am I right? Now you can take mu common, denominator is same. Is that okay? You can write this one as a mu into, look at here carefully, e raised to beta mu h minus e raised to minus beta mu h divided by e raised to beta mu h plus e raised to beta mu h. What is this one? Tan hyperbolic, isn't it? So, mean magnetic moment of one atom is equal to mu into tan hyperbolic beta mu h. And I hope you have drawn tan hyperbolic curve earlier, isn't it? What is this one? Mean magnetic moment of one atom. So, how do you get magnetization directly? Look at here, magnetization is, yeah, n naught into this one. Am I right? Mean magnetic moment. So, of one atom into number of atom per unit volume. We will get total magnetization, that is equal to, so n naught mu n naught mu, so tan hyperbolic beta mu h. You got your answer actually, magnetization. You got your answer. Now you should know what happens to tan hyperbolic x when x is very large, when x is very small. Those limits, in one of the limits that become Curie-Weiss law, in other limit that will tends to 1 actually, isn't it? Tan hyperbolic that will tends to 1, and we shall discuss that one. Again, he has done some more mathematics on this tan hyperbolic function. Okay, I am not doing that one. You have to do it yourself because we have already drawn that function itself. Okay, yeah. Tan hyperbolic x when x is too large, it will tends to 1. Okay, tan hyperbolic x when x is too small, it will nearly equal to x. Okay, so that its curve is like this. Tan hyperbolic x. As a function of x, it is almost linear here, is that okay? And it will tends to 1. Is that okay? It is almost linear here. Tan hyperbolic x nearly equal to x here when x is small. When x is large, it will tends to 1. And that can be shown by this exponential expansions. Okay. Are you getting my point? That he has done that one, just go through that one, how it happens, how tan hyperbolic x, yeah, I better to write that one, isn't it? So, show this to this one, show that as x tends to, x is large, so tan hyperbolic x tends to 1 when x is small. Show this one, okay? It is there in the book. So, tan hyperbolic x nearly equal to x when x is small. Okay, show this one because we need this kind of assumptions again and again. Now, so to be in the safer side, we shall find what is average energy. We shall find what is average energy. What is average energy? How do you find? E plus, so probability of E plus E minus probability of E minus. Or you can find Z and you can use a derivative with respect to beta. That also can be done. Is that okay? Yeah, but you should remember this step also. Okay, I found question where this step is needed. Okay, so again we can start with our trick. What is the trick? The minus dou by dou beta of ln of z, isn't it? That will give directly. But you should remember this is the statistical average usually. Okay. Yeah, so we shall do in this way because it was not big deal, isn't it? What is E plus? E plus whole divided by denominator is same as earlier, e raised to beta mu h plus e raised to minus beta mu h, am I right? So, now if I take minus mu h common, you will get what is this one? Average energy of one atom, and it is negative. Why average energy would be negative? Or when average energy would be negative? Yeah, when energy was negative, when it aligned parallel to the magnetic field, isn't it? So, now if probability of probability of alignment of parallel to the magnetic field is more than that of probability of anti-parallel, isn't it? Then it would be obviously it will be dominant, and that leads to paramagnetism actually, isn't it? If more number of atoms align parallel to the direction of the magnetic field, so then paramagnetism would happen, am I right? Are you getting my point? So, it should be a very obvious fact. What does that negative sign says? Average is negative, isn't it? Negative sign says, so probability of alignment of parallel to the magnetic field is more, isn't it? And you can find total average energy. How do you find total average energy? Earlier derivation taught us total average energy equal to n into average energy of one atom, okay, n naught. So, total average energy per unit volume, number of atom per unit volume. Are you getting my point? These are one to one equivalent. If you are multiplying by total number, this become total energy. If you multiply by total number per unit volume, this become total energy per unit volume. Is that okay? So, in this problem he mentioned total number of particle per unit volume. If you multiply that one, that becomes average energy per unit volume, that is it. Is that okay? So, what is this one? Minus n naught mu h tan hyperbolic beta mu h, that is your total average energy, or capital E stand for total, small e stand for individual atom. Look at here. Let me quote this magnetization. So, little later. Okay. Let us finish out what are the calculations we have here. Okay. Look at here. Same thing can be done in this way. What is partition function for one particle? E raised to beta E plus E raised to beta E minus. So, look at the board. Look at the board. It's very simple. What is this one? E raised to beta mu h plus E raised to minus beta mu h. E raised to minus beta mu h. Shall I write like this? E minus is positive, am I right? E minus is positive, E plus is negative, negative of negative, yeah. Wait a second, what is the mistake? Minus here, yeah, minus here. So, now what is this one? You should know all corners, okay. They may ask what is the partition function for single particle, they may give the answer in terms of cos hyperbolic, am I right? So, divide by 2, multiply by 2, divide by 2, that is cos hyperbolic definition, am I right? So, now, find ln of Z1. What is this one? Ln of 2 cos hyperbolic beta mu h. Now, according to our earlier formula, what is average energy of one atom minus dou by dou beta of ln of Z1. Or in this step, you can do like this. Look at here. Z total is equal to Z1 whole power n. You can do like that also, and you will get total average energy directly. Are you getting my point? Do it in the both way. Let me do it in this way. Okay. So, now, average energy of one atom minus dou by dou beta of log of Z1 minus dou by dou beta of log of Z1. Is that okay? So, now that is equal to what would happen? So, 1 by 2 cos hyperbolic beta, into beta mu h into, so 2 sin hyperbolic beta mu h into derivative with respect to beta mu h multiplied, isn't it? What is this one? Minus mu h, so tan hyperbolic beta mu h, am I right? Derivative, and total average energy is n times this one. If you want to find total, you can define total partition function as z1 power n. Since you are going to apply log, that n will come outside and you will get the same answer. So, do it in the both way. Now, let me again come to this magnetization. There are a lot of easy questions on this one, okay? This paramagnetism problem. Now, we have written magnetization into n naught into average magnetic moment of one atom, isn't it? The same thing can be written as minus total average energy divided by magnetic field, minus total average energy divided by magnetic field. Can you remember this one? Minus total average energy divided by magnetic field. This is what we have done in the initial, isn't it? We found this one and we have done this one. You can remember this one also, because average energy is a very straightforward, isn't it? Because you got beta derivative, you got formula for average energy, isn't it? That is why average energy is very straightforward to calculate. You better to remember this one, okay? Yeah. So, now, so what is average energy? Actually, that is minus dou by dou beta of, so ln of z total, am I right? So, total average, capital E for total, okay? So, z total, and it is found that minus n naught mu h tan hyperbolic beta mu h, am I right? Average energy, and of course, it should be negative. Why? So, probability of parallel alignment is more. You can observe what is P of E plus is equal to e raised to plus beta mu h, am I right? Divided by something. Other one is e raised to minus. That's why, of course, other one should be less. Is that okay? Yeah. Yeah.
So, you start this theory by considering just the spin and the magnetic field. How do we arrive at the probability of aligning the spins parallel to the field?
Yeah, that too again. That is again, probability depends on energy and temperature. That is our earlier Boltzmann law. That is our Boltzmann law actually. I mean, our canonical distribution formula. Canonical distribution formula taught us that probability of this one is this one. And just by observing, I have e power positive, isn't it? That is little higher than e power negative. Is that okay? That is from canonical distribution. Distribution, probability distribution, or sometimes you can call it as Boltzmann law also. Is that okay? Now, that is the main thing where that I haven't derived that one. That is the main thing we arrived here. What is that one? We had no hint for probability, isn't it? Earlier we were talking about number of microstate, counting, and so on, isn't it? Now, in canonical distribution, we can derive so probability of getting the particle in particular energy state. Once you get that one, all average energy can be calculated, isn't it? Now, this whatever the outcome, we can see that one in lab, that is our Curie-Weiss law. We shall see that one. Is that okay? So, with one more negative sign, if you divide by magnetic field, you will get magnetization. Are you getting my point? Yeah. Now, what is my magnetization? N naught mu tan hyperbolic beta mu h, am I right? So, according to again the Reif diagram, let me draw one side N naught magnetic moment by N naught into mu, okay. Let me take it like this. M by N naught into mu, y equal to tan x, tan hyperbolic x. Is that okay? So, what is this one? This is equal to tan hyperbolic beta mu h, so that I can draw beta mu h here, so that I can directly say this is 1. Am I right? This is 1. Now, look at here. So, the curve looks like this. In that case, it will tends to 1. Still closer. Yeah, make it as 45 degree. That y equal to x, that is 45 degree, isn't it? Slope is 45 degree. Now, this region we call it known as Curie's law. Curie's law, I think. What is this region? What is this region? M by y is proportional to x, isn't it? Because tan hyperbolic x proportional to x when x is very small, isn't it? So, let me take this situation when so situation case 1, okay, case 1, let me take it as case 1. Case 2 will be obvious, let me tell you how, okay. Case 1 is, so when beta mu h is very much less than 1, I mean it is very small. When this will happen? When the mu h by kBt is very much less than 1, when it will happen? For low magnetic field, high temperature. Write down that situation. Low magnetic field, high temperature. I mean, I am not taking very low magnetic field, very high temperature, so that your probability become half and half, as I told, okay. I am not taking that region. Are you getting my point? So that you can say this will die out here, isn't it? This will die out here. Your magnetization will die out here. I am taking low magnetic field, high temperature, okay. Yeah. Now, in that case, tan hyperbolic beta mu h nearly equal to beta mu h. That is why. So, m by n naught into mu, that is nearly equal to beta mu h. Is that okay? So, then actually what does our Curie's law says, anybody? Yeah. Then m is equal to, look at here, m is equal to n mu square by kb h by t. H by t, wait a second, let me write it here. So, magnetization is equal to some constant into h by t, that is our Curie's law, where that constant is equal to, I think that constant is called as, any idea? Magnetic susceptibility. No, including temperature we call, wait a second, So, magnetization, I can write it as magnetic susceptibility into magnetic field. Now, that magnetic susceptibility is equal to 1 by T also included n mu square divided by Kb into T. I think that is Curie's law, magnetic susceptibility inversely proportional to temperature. That is Curie's law, just Google it, okay. What is Curie's law exactly? Magnetic susceptibility, write the name, magnetic susceptibility. I think we better to take a break. Wait a second, let me quickly, wait a second, it is there in the book, I hope there is not much difference, only manipulation and showing Curie's law. So, what is case 2? Quickly, beta mu h very much greater than 1, when that can happen, mu h by kbt is very much greater than 1, when this can happen, very high magnetic field, very low temperature, am I right? Denominator is small, numerator is high. Obviously, what would happen when you have very high magnetic field, very low temperature, what would happen? All atoms will try to align along the direction of magnetic field, isn't it? Are you getting my point? All atoms will try to come to the ground state. Ground state means parallel to the magnetic field. Is that okay? So, in that situation, you can show probability of E plus, that is a ground state, E plus is a ground state, that is nearly equal to, that is very large, probability of E minus very low, you can show that one. So, that all particles are in the ground state, if you think of probability, okay. Let it be. So, now what is this one? According to this one, tan hyperbolic beta mu h, that is nearly equal to 1, that is m by n naught mu nearly equal to 1, m nearly equal to n naught into mu. What do you mean by this one? Magnetization is equal to, so total number of atom is multiplied with the individual magnetic moment. That means all atoms are aligned along the direction of magnetic field, isn't it? This is the highest value. That happens obviously at very high, write down this one, high magnetic field, low temperature. High magnetic field, low temperature. Take a break. We shall continue half an hour again, okay, from we shall have 2-hour class in the evening, okay. Now, after, let me start by 8 o'clock again. Read out each and every corner of this one, okay. They may ask question in any corner. Now, you can try 6.1, 6th chapter, we are in the 6th chapter. Yeah, 6.1, 6.2, 6.4, 6.5. I need to teach something, okay? Try up to 6.4. I think you can do 6.1, 6.2, 6.4, okay? And wait a second, I have, yeah, maybe in the next chapter. Even if I see those Princeton questions, Princeton MIT question, again they are related to somehow reef problems only, okay? So that's why first we need to solve reef problem, then we have to move on to those Weichel questions, okay? Yeah, then old question occur. Yeah, again do this one before evening. Let me give you some more idea, okay? So take a break quickly.